Discuss. We're joined by political analyst Sandile Swana. Mr. Swana, thank you. Firstly, this whole issue of stepping aside, has it not already been decided very simply by the NEC, the National Executive Committee? Now the Secretary General saying there's a process. Is that process covering up his defiance on his part and perhaps a real political battle within the ANC?
Yes, I think let's first of all make it easy for our viewers in this way. If there was a person in the ANC, whether that person was an ordinary member or like the Premier of the Eastern Cape, who has asked that people like Magashule should step aside, or the Minister of Justice, Lamola, those people who feel that Ace Magashule needs to step aside can use the existing constitution of the African National Congress to lay charges against him, to have him suspended and put through a disciplinary process, and perhaps even be sentenced to being removed from the position of Secretary General. So any discussions about the step-aside clause that is being taken to the branches does not stop anyone who is actually properly convinced that something must be done, and it must be done immediately, from doing that.
Yeah.
At the same time, the ANC has struggled. If we want to talk about division, it's very difficult for us, and we need to focus our minds to say, if there are divisions in the ANC, what are these divisions about? In this case, some of us have raised the issue that one of the greatest challenges in South Africa is that we have a ruling party, the African National Congress, which does not know how to run the affairs of the ANC according to the constitution of the ANC. This stepping aside resolution is one of those where people, when the constitution is clear about what must be done, they go and set up a resolution that is superfluous, and in the process cause confusion.
So you're saying the actual NEC resolution is the problem? It's not that the Secretary General is just defying his own party and an NEC resolution. You're saying the resolution itself is problematic.
The resolution is definitely superfluous, and it could only have been conceived in mischief. So that is why it is wise for them to take all the legal opinions together with the resolution itself back to the branches, to determine whether the branches want to confirm this resolution or to rescind it or to amend it. But in terms of saying, do you want to maintain discipline in the African National Congress? Do you want to eliminate corruption in the existing constitution is enough on its own to remove corrupt persons from the ANC. If there are people in any capacity who want to remove corrupt elements there. So
even if he's only facing a corruption charge, even if he's only facing corruption charges and he hasn't been found guilty, you say that there is recourse for those who believe he shouldn't be in the party right now.
Yes, so there are different clauses. The Rule 25 of the ANC Constitution has got about 84 sub-clauses. A simple one would be to say, charge Ace Magashule for bringing the party into disrepute. So you can isolate a few clauses, take the 2015 report of the Auditor General, take the charges from the court right now, any other SIU reports and other reports that pertain to these issues and his conduct in the Free State during his premiership, and lay charges against him in the normal course of business, and he'll be suspended and put through a disciplinary process. And another thing we need to emphasize that this consultation is not a decision of Ace Magashule. This is a decision of the NEC of the African National Congress, that they have decided to consult their branches. Rightfully so, because they've made so many decisions on their own, disregarding the will of their voters, disregarding the will of their members. So this step of consulting the ordinary members of the ANC is a noble and commendable step, where politicians don't take a mandate and go and pursue factional interests and cliques like they did when they removed Mbeki without asking us as voters, what do we want to do?
All right, this whole issue of Ace Magashule choosing not to step aside voluntarily, it's gone to the Integrity Committee, that resolution. It's been framed as a battle between him and the ANC President, Cyril Ramaphosa. Is it so?
I personally do not know what the battle between Cyril Ramaphosa and Ace Magashule is about. Ace Magashule would be about. You must remember that for a long time, from 2012, Cyril Ramaphosa was a member of the Zuma slate. He was in the Zuma slate, and Ace Magashule was in that slate. So these were bad fellows. The 9 wasted years, they were in it together. Ramaphosa and Ace Magashule were part of that 9 wasted years, leading it. So I still have not found exactly what if they are fighting. What is it that they are fighting about? It has not been spelled out to the point that some of us can understand it.
Yeah.
Usually,
well,
when
some
people
say on
fight,
Mr. Swana, some say on that score that this is about fighting for the future leadership of the party. That Magashule may even be setting himself up as a potential future president of the party.
You are probably talking about the 2024 election in this case. Now, that election is spoken for because if the traditions of the African National Congress are adhered to, as they have insisted, and I don't know if this thing they are doing is in the constitution of the ANC, but they've set up a tradition that automatically, once you become a deputy president, by tradition, you automatically become the president, the next president. So what would happen then to David Mabuza by the time Ace Magashule is trying to be president? What must first happen to David Mabuza?
Yeah. So do you not agree then that the fault lines in the ANC are being highlighted by this case? It does seem that we're starting to get a sense of whose side everybody's on because some of the Secretary General supporters are going to his trial. Supporters are being bussed in. We're not sure by who. And there have been calls among those supporters for Cyril Ramaphosa to go. If it's not exposing division, what is this all saying about the state of the ANC?
The ANC, and we can talk about the state of the ANC, but I think that we must also talk about how do you and I experience the ANC. What we've experienced since 2008 is a declining economy under the leadership of the ANC. So that would, to me, where I would look to understand the state of the ANC. Coming to this other issue, number one, there has been a problem since the Polokwane conference where people believe that you can actually overrule the courts, overrule the NPA, overrule the constitution by following a political process. Now, if Ramaphosa does not have a scheme, which is what they would be demanding, a scheme of pardoning people who are found guilty. For instance, Sandile Swana, I don't think he even served the full sentence. My judgment is that a deal of some sort was made. But that deal was not made to John Block of the Northern Cape. He's still in prison. So there are people who want a system of justice that accommodates politicians. So even if Ace Magashule is sentenced, there needs to be a guarantee that in office, in the Tulu House and in the cabinet, there are people who are going to put in the effort to make sure that he's pardoned, like Shabir Sheikh and others and others and others. So that would be the bone of contention, according to me.
All right, that's concerning. So it sounds like you don't think there's sort of a groundswell of support that would be opposed to the President Cyril Ramaphosa. But say there is some lobbying going on within the party, within one of the factions. When could things change? I mean, some are focusing on the national conference next year. Could we see a real battle then? Some are focusing on the National General Council this year.
I think the decision, even this past weekend, the decision to refer this step aside resolution to the branches is a clear sign that this idea of running things strictly by the book is not going to win. And that means that within Ramaphosa's camp and the other camps, there is a common set of people, and we've known this for some time, who know that they're implicated in a number of things, that this step-aside resolution is going to come back and bite them. So my view is that that is a sign that whoever, and I don't even know, Cyril Ramaphosa has said many things. At some point, he was promoting radical economic transformation himself. So he's all over the show, and he will want to preserve himself one way or the other. But if we were to say Cyril is actually the champion, the anti-corruption champion in the ANC, then he has not gained much ground. I don't think he has gained much ground. And however, we must commend what has been done to try somehow to strengthen the NPA, strengthen the AG, and strengthen institutions. But it's not yet enough. We are not yet seeing that consistent over time. It's not yet consistent. It's still shaky. So, and it's under threat right now. The current court cases that are happening, and we must remember that these court cases, including this one of Magashule, was started by Leona Kleinhans of the DA. It is not an ANC initiative, this asbestos thing. So the ANC is not yet, we're not seeing the ANC members taking their own people to the police station and reporting them for crime, even taking them to a disciplinary. No, that's not what we're seeing here. So the move by anybody, and I don't know who that person is, to launch an anti-corruption drive in the ANC, that move is not yet grounded inside the ANC, and it's actually under threat. And with it, if Ramaphosa tries to be the champion of it, it could sweep him away like a flood.
All right, so we have to leave it there. We've unfortunately run out of time, but thank you so much for your analysis tonight, political analyst Sandile Swana.